Imagine the atmosphere inside the Etihad, the lights, the anticipation, the weight of the shirt, and above all, the feeling that something big is about to happen. This is not just another season. This is not just another transfer window. We are talking about an operation that could change the course of Manchester City, and perhaps even the future of European football. All because the club is willing to invest more than £158 million in a young talent who is already enchanting fans, analysts, and even Guardiola himself. A player who, according to sources close to him, is eager to be shaped by the coach who has molded some of the greatest stars of the last decade. This move has not come out of nowhere. City are coming off a painful defeat to Newcastle, a match that exposed not only defensive flaws and a lack of precision in finishing, but also an emotional side of Guardiola that we rarely see in public. He himself admitted that he felt uncomfortable watching the footage of the match, acknowledging that he had crossed the line of the composure he usually tries to maintain on the touchline. The coach, known for his calm and analytical mind, was caught up in the heat of the moment, argued with the cameraman, gesticulated more than usual, and even had a disagreement with Bruno Guimaraes, something he himself deemed unnecessary. But the most striking detail was this. Pep apologized. He admitted he was wrong, that he acted impulsively, and that such behavior does not represent what he wants for himself, for the club, or for his players. A rare and revealing gesture. And that, my fellow supporter, sparked something in the squad. It is rare to see a manager of such caliber expose his vulnerability, but when it happens, it motivates, it inspires, and reinforces the idea that everyone, including the leader, is willing to evolve. Ruben Dias, one of the most influential figures in the dressing room, reaffirmed this by saying that the group is ready to react. According to him, the defeat was difficult, yes, but it was also a warning. It was the kind of match that demands composure, focus, and precision. It was not a lack of chances, but a lack of calmness, and Dias made sure to highlight that the first match after the international break rarely shows a team's true strength. And now, with Arsenal and Chelsea applying pressure at the top of the table, City need to respond, and quickly. The fixture list offers no rest. In just a few days, they will face Bayer Leverkusen, who arrive with high confidence in the Champions League. Soon after, they will meet Leeds, in one of those tricky matches that require maximum concentration. But this time, City are preparing something extra, something big, something historic. In Spain, newspapers claim that Manchester City are willing to break all their records to sign Désiré Doué, the gem of Paris Saint-Germain. A young, fast, creative, and unpredictable player with that rare ability to change a game with a single touch. A talent that many are already comparing to established stars, but who still has room to develop, and who knows that Guardiola is the master of technical refinement. The player sees City as the perfect opportunity to make the definitive leap in his career, and Pep already sees him as the piece that could rejuvenate the attacking sector and keep City competitive for the coming years. The question is, will PSG be willing to negotiate one of their brightest talents even for £158 million? Difficult, but impossible? Never when City are involved. As this saga unfolds, another chapter is also gaining momentum. The search for a new right-back. With Kyle Walker bidding farewell to the club as he departs to Burnley after his loan from Milan, Guardiola has never been so determined to find a replacement who maintains the balance between defensive strength and constructive intelligence. And this is not simple. He has already improvised with Matheus Nunes, Rico Lewis, and even Kusanov. Did it work? At times, yes. But it is not enough for a City that wants to dominate Europe for another decade. Among all the names monitored, one has become a priority: Guus Reinders, the young sensation from Feyenoord, a player who not only masters the flank, but understands the game like few others. He knows how to drop deep, help build play, drift inside, and create attacking superiority. His evolution since 2023 has been impressive. In a short time, he became an undisputed starter, played more than 40 matches, scored goals, provided assists, and attracted the attention of practically all major European clubs. Now he stands between Bayern and City, a silent but fierce battle behind the scenes. And here, my fellow supporter, the decision may involve more than money. It may involve project, vision, promise of development, and above all, Guardiola, who has proven time and again to be a true magnet for talent. If Gus arrives, City may have found more than a full back. They may have discovered a player built for the modern system, versatile, intelligent, and with the ideal personality to grow under pressure. Bayern, in turn, see him as the immediate replacement for Sacha Boey, City, as a strategic piece for the years ahead. That makes the battle even more exciting. But while the market heats up, one story is already having an impact behind the scenes at the Etihad, the case of Ryan Chery. His arrival at City was not just a signing, it was a turning point. Just a year ago, he had a medical scheduled at Paris Saint-Germain. Everything agreed, all parties aligned, but he canceled. He chose another path. He chose Pep. He chose City. And that decision changed everything. Today, Chery is one of the club's most fascinating gems. He scored at the Club World Cup. He made his Premier League debut by scoring. He inherited the number 10 shirt after Grealish left on loan. And more than that, he won over the dressing room, the fans, and the trust of the manager. PSG, watching from afar, imagining what might have been. City, on the other hand, believed they may have found the potential successor to Kevin De Bruyne, a creative, instinctive player, emotionally composed in the most decisive moments. Chery's transformation is just one example of what Manchester City are building. A project that goes far beyond the next season. A project that seeks the balance between youth, talent, discipline, and a winning mentality. A project that shows that behind every signing there is purpose, strategy, and vision for the future. And it is precisely that which makes this phase of City so special. It is not just about the present. It is about what is being shaped. It is about the next generation of stars who will wear this shirt with ambition and tactical awareness. It is about Pep, who, despite 1,000 matches in his career, admits mistakes, adjusts course, and continues to inspire. It is about every supporter who understands that to stay at the top, reinvention is essential. And when we look at all of this, we realize we are not just talking about reinforcements, defeats, or touchline behavior. We are witnessing a cycle in transformation, a club that once learned how to win, but is now discovering how to remain victorious even when everything around it tries to pull it down. Manchester City, which once fought for respect, now fights for continuity. And that is the most complex challenge a dominant team can face. It is no longer about reaching the top, but about staying there, reinventing itself, accepting failures, learning from them, and turning them into fuel. And it is precisely at this point that the mentality Pep seeks to instill in his players comes into play. It is not enough to be technically good, nor enough to be tactically intelligent. One must be emotionally strong. That is why, when he owned up to his mistake in front of the cameras, saying he felt embarrassed for losing control against Newcastle, Guardiola sent a far deeper message than it seemed. He was not just apologizing. He was showing that true greatness lies not only in victory, but in the humility to recognize that, even at the top, there is still room to evolve. And this stance motivated more than any speech. Inside the dressing room, younger players such as Oscar Bob, Rico Lewis, and even Ryan Chery are said to have commented that seeing their own manager admit his vulnerabilities made them feel more confident to grow, to make mistakes, and to develop without the fear of failure. It sounds simple, but it is huge. A club that manages to balance demand and humanity, discipline and freedom, organization and spontaneity, becomes almost unbeatable. And that is exactly what Manchester City is trying to build. And for that, transfers are not just numbers. It is not just about 158 million for Doué. It is not just about who wins the race for Goose Reinders. It is about who is willing to wear this shirt, understanding what it represents. A club that seeks constant excellence, but does not forget that behind every player there is a story, a mindset, a character. Guardiola does not just sign talents, he signs profiles. He does not only want stars, he wants minds that think, feel, learn, and evolve within his system. And that is exactly why Désiré Doué is so interesting. Not just because he is quick, bold, creative, and unpredictable, but because he is moldable. He is hungry for evolution. He wants to learn from Guardiola. And, according to sources close to the negotiation, he would even be willing to reject financially superior offers if it meant having the chance to be shaped by the Catalan manager. That, my fellow supporter, is what distinguishes a transfer of real impact from a mere signing. But while eyes turn to the future, stories are also unfolding now. Inside the Etihad, many already see Ryan Chery as a symbol of this silent transformation. Not because he is the most experienced, not because he is the most popular, but because he represents the new city, a city less dependent on established names and more built on ideas, on identity, on a vision of the future. Chery's decision not to complete that medical at Paris Saint-Germain, at a moment when everything seemed arranged, reveals exactly that. He did not want to be just another talent in a crowded squad. He wanted to be part of a project in construction. He wanted a place where he could evolve step by step, where every action had purpose, where every training session was treated as a chapter in a larger story. And guess what? He got it. And today, when he walks onto the pitch wearing the number 10 shirt, many supporters can already imagine, are we witnessing the next city brain, the successor to Kevin De Bruyne, the player capable of transforming a match with a single pass, a touch, a movement? Time will tell. But what seems certain is that at City, Chery will not just be a player. He will be a project, and this project also involves the more experienced ones. Do not think everything revolves solely around youth. Pep has always said he needs balance between those who arrive and those who sustain. And in that regard, figures such as Ruben Dias, Bernardo Silva, Rodri, and even Haaland have an essential role. They are the ones who help shape the newcomers, who welcome them, who guide them, who teach them. Dias, for example, is the emotional pillar of the defense, the kind of player who, even after a defeat like the one against Newcastle, does not hesitate to go to the interview and say, "We could have been better, but we will react." That is not just talk, that is leadership. And leadership at City is not shouting, it is stance. And it is that stance Guardiola wants to see in the group. That is the reason why he is not afraid to expose his mistakes. Because he knows his role goes far beyond choosing the lineup. He shapes men, he molds mindsets, he builds culture. And it is exactly that culture that attracts players like Doué, like Reinders, like Chery. They are not just signing with a club, they are signing with an idea. And this idea, my fellow supporter, is about to be put to the test. Because after Leverkusen comes Leeds. After Leeds comes an even more decisive run, both in the Premier League and in the Champions League. It is a phase where the margin for errors is minimal, but the margin for evolution is immense. The reaction, if it comes now, could mark the rebirth of a team many believe has already reached its peak, but Guardiola insists on saying, "We have not yet seen the best Manchester City," and perhaps he is right. Because when a club combines talent, strategy, humility, and ambition, something different happens. Something greater than the sum of its parts. Something that goes beyond the game. Something that transforms. And now, my fellow supporter, I want to ask you, can you feel that something special is moving behind the scenes at Manchester City? And if you have made it this far, it is because you too feel that something grand is happening within Manchester City. It is not just about transfers, victories, or defeats. It is about transformation, about a club that is not satisfied with what it has already achieved, but continues to pursue what it can still become, about players who do not step on the pitch merely to fulfill a role, but to write history, and about supporters who understand that each detail, each behind-the-scenes moment, each decision, could be the first chapter of something unforgettable. So, if this content helped you to see City in a different, deeper, more emotional way, I now invite you to be part of this journey. Leave your like because it shows that you want more stories like this. Subscribe to the channel so you do not miss any update, any earth-shattering transfer, any exclusive behind-the-scenes content, and turn on notifications because in the coming weeks, a lot is still going to happen, and you will want to be here, witnessing everything firsthand. A big hug, supporter. See you in the next video.